Hey everyone, it's Michelle here at Makiki 1988. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I forever will do bag content and appreciate every opportunity to jump on to a meaningful and fun bag tag. So this is one from Liz at Nothing But Bags. I'm not sure if she's on TikTok, I'll double check and see, but you can find her channel, Nothing But Bags, on YouTube. She's a great content creator, has an amazing collection. While she is a big Coach collector, she also does have a number of gorgeous luxury and other modern and contemporary brands in her collection as well. But this bag tag is Bags Don't Lie, Secrets Exposed. And so Liz in her intro video sets up the idea that we have certain bags that are very revealing about us, our personality, or how we interpret ourselves. And I strongly encourage you to go to her channel and watch the initial video. I laughed at the intro as she's talking about this show she watches, I guess, where the guy is an investigator, but also an arsonist, right? And how he looks in the mirror and he looks, middle-aged and balding, has got a pouch. But when he goes out in public, he's put together and he's handsome, he's attractive. And so that's her setup for her bags. And, she talks about how when she, in her mind, she's a Fendi peekaboo, but in reality, she's a Coach Crosby. So of course I had to go ahead and jump on this trend as well, because I always love the opportunity to bring some bags out of my closet, share some of the symbolism that some of my bags have, the meaning behind some of my bags, and remind myself that I have these bags in my closet. And so even though I have purchased a handful of bags over the last several weeks with the most recent drop, all of my bag selections are actually bags I've had in my closet or in my collection for some time. So let me go ahead and get started. So in being honest with myself, as I look into my closet and look at my collection, I would say that my Brooklyn 28 in black is the bag that most truly and wholesomely represents myself and who I am. Yeah, I might look nice, might look decent. I'm not going to do too much. I don't need to be dressed to the nines all the time. I may have a few little, scratches here and there, but you won't catch me tripping. There's no major damage. There's no wear and tear. Still looks good. Natural beauty. Got a great shape. I love this bag. So this is actually the second Brooklyn I have purchased, and I ended up going with a black because I'm like, I love black bags, and I love a bag that goes with anything and everything, and I feel like that's the Brooklyn styling in general. If I'm having a time where I really don't have time or energy or desire to really think too much about the bag that I'm wearing, I grab Brooklyn. And I have dubbed her my city bag because I've been collecting these city tags. So I have on here the city of Dallas in a green hang tag. I have the city of Chicago, and then somebody recently picked me up a new city tag, which I should be getting today or tomorrow, so I can't wait to add that. I had purchased some of those small Coach jewelry trinkets, and I like to use that as a bag tag. And when I look at this bag, I'm like, this is me to a T. You would see me carrying this and you would know this was my bag. I love it. This bag is so functional, so easy to pair with different wallets, different wristlets, to change out the different accessories and colors that you have. Like right now I'm going with all green, so I've got my olive green wallet, and I've got my green wristlet, and just letting those colors play well together as we're enjoying the fact that fall is starting, even here in Texas. So this is my bag that represents me when I look in the mirror, right, and see the most true to form self. My Brooklyn 28 in black. If we're continuing with the theme of what Liz set up for like what other people see, I would say the bag that represents most what other people see would be my Longchamp Le Pliage. This is the extra small in the color turtle dove. And this was my first more expensive bag that I ever bought. And it was a gift to myself after I closed a major deal at work. And finally just decided, like, what am I waiting for? Like, who am I waiting for to get me something nice or this or this? I'm going to recognize myself and I'm going to splurge. And I will tell you, it was so hard for me to go and pay for that. But I just kept telling myself, you deserve this. You've saved up for this. You set yourself up for this. You made a major accomplishment. Go get this bag. And when I got there, I was just looking at the different colors and I liked some of the other ones, but the gray spoke to me because I just feel like it's so neutral in all the best ways, but it still makes a bold statement. As you'll see, you do have the gunmetal hardware on this. And it's just a lovely, lovely bag. For me, when I think about like the perfect purse size, this is it, where I can carry everything I need and even like a smaller planner if I need to. But I also thought this bag kind of was representative of me because when you look at it, it's distinct in shape and size, but it doesn't stand out too much. It makes a statement, but not too much of a statement. People don't always know what brand it is, but some people do. And I laugh when I think about like that's kind of how I have been told people really interpret me sometimes, especially as a mixed individual. People always want to comment on my ethnicity or my perceived ethnicity and or my personality. People often tell me they don't really know how to interpret me or I'm sort of an enigma. So this is my enigma bag and I honestly love it. And I've had this bag now for a little over a year. Wears great, good price point, and I love that the leather is softening up and I can really use this for anything and everything. This would be the bag that best represents me as I'm out and about and how I feel like others interpret me and how I present myself. Just, bold, but not too bold. So my next bag is another Coach Brooklyn. And as much as I wish I could choose another bag, the thing is I absolutely love this bag. And this was my first project bag that I did. And honestly, this is the bag that has the most meaning to me. And I think would be my top #1 purse in my collection if I couldn't have any other bags. As I've shared previously on my channel, my sister did actually pass September 12th of last year, 2024. And as summertime came around, I felt like this oncoming reminder of just kind of like grief and this sense of loss as we counted down the time from when she was transitioned to hospice to her birthday and to her end of life, which we'll be celebrating in a couple days here. And I was just thinking about how I miss her so much. And I was like, I know that she is still present in another form, right? I've already visited spirituality in another sense, and so I don't miss her in that sense, but I just missed having something physical to hold on to. And sometimes I just need a hug. My sister and I talked a lot and talked about really deep things, and sometimes I just needed something physically to represent her. And so I was thinking about the gift that I wanted to get her last year for her birthday, and she was like, Michelle, like, where am I going to wear that, right? I wanted to get her a nice purse. And it was so sad to me that I never got to give her that nice purse. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Her favorite color was purple. My favorite color is black. And so I chose the Coach Brooklyn in Merlot. And then I felt like Coach kind of missed the mark on the Merlot Brooklyn, where they could have done like some burnishing or antiquing. And so I went ahead and did my own. So I used a combination of sanding. I did use some black paint along the edges, and then I used an antiquing gel to kind of blend everything in and give it that look. And then as I went along with the project, I added some other notes that just kind of reminded me about her. She had actually done rodeo, she did wheat poles, barrels, and then towards the end of her career, she had done English side saddle. And so I kind of finished the handles here in that way. She really was like a rough and tumble type person. And so I decided to kind of finish the bag that way. That was more representative of her, how she would toss things around, and she was just a tough person like that. Really, that's just how it was. And so I kind of wore the bag out to make it look like a bag that had been worn well and loved well. And then the last thing I did was I did go to Coach Create and had the feathers added to the bag to symbolize the pieces of her that she left behind on her final descent. The last note that I had is that my sales associate here at North Park had done this hang tag for me. I love the Ace of Hearts, and for me, it's my own little piece of symbolism about doing things in life with heart and with true intent and passion. And this is one of just honestly my favorite bags. It's very simple. And then the way that I finished this bag off, of course, was that she had opted to be cremated, so we all got a keepsake and then a sampling of her ashes. And I didn't want my bookmark to just sit at home. I wanted to be able to take her with me. And so this is her memorial keepsake, which is a little poem, her, beginning and end of life dates, and I just keep that stored in the back pocket so that her memory and my final reminder of her is always with me. This has become such a loved piece, and I think the opportunity to really customize the bags with Coach really kind of deepened my connection, my appreciation for the brand, especially for my sales associate and the Coach Create associate that helped put this together, and just just the respect and the care that they gave me as I got this done. All right, last but not least, my fourth bag that I would say is representative of myself is my Coach Alter Ego shoulder bag. I had initially purchased this bag in black. I love the bag, I love the styling. But even when I purchased that black bag, I knew that I wanted the black and white one. And the answer is very simple. It's because I am black and white. And I really like the symbolism that this bag represented for me. Truth be told, I was actually born in Sacramento, which at that time, in the late 80s, was one of the most mixed cities in the United States. My mother is white and my dad is black. But then I have two half sisters whose mother is not white. So I grew up in a very interesting family dynamic. When we were young and as gang activity was rising, my dad did work for the Department of Corrections and didn't want us growing up in an unhealthy atmosphere. And so as my parents debated where we would move to and where we'd be raised, my mom pulled her weight and had us grow up in Utah. And I will tell you, that was a really tough place to grow up. At the time, the percentage of African Americans in the entire state was less than 2%. And so that meant that as I went to school, my sisters and I were usually the only people of color. At that time, there weren't a lot of other minority populations in the area. And it was really tough. It was really tough to realize that you're so similar to these other people, right? Because my mom's white just like yours. But to be called N-words or to have things, thrown at you or done to you, or having people act in very ignorant ways. But I also grew up with this sense of like, you have to pick a side. And I refused. I refused because I'm not going to deny who I am, right? I am white, and I recognize that sometimes people will interpret that I have certain privileges because of that. But I also am black, and I recognize the cultural and real world aspects of that. And truth be told, I am my father's daughter. I did not really find secure grounding in my cultural identity or really in myself until I was in my 20s and during the time that I was actually working on my degree in ethnic studies. And one of my mentors really kind of took me under his wing and helped me to connect not just with my family history, but to connect my reading and my writing and my artwork with that, and to understand that mixed people have always had a place in the world and in both communities, and that ultimately you have to claim that space. And so for me, this bag was very representative of the fact that I can be black and white, and I love the integrated patchwork versus having some separation in color. And so this is a great bag, and this is a bag that will, forever be in my collection. So that is my Bags Don't Lie, Secrets Exposed. Liz, thank you so much for a great bag tag, and I always love the opportunity to hear everybody else's stories and understanding about our bags, because as so many people in this purse community remind us, it's about so much more than the bags. And I'll look forward to seeing anybody else's videos. Tag me below or hit me in the comments. Let me know if you've done this bag tag as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.